Here at home, an official autopsy report today confirmed the death of Sonya Massey was indeed a homicide.
Sonya Massey, the black woman from Illinois who was shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy inside her home after she called 911 for help.
Shot and killed Sonya Massey following her 911 call for help.
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
rebuke you in the name of
Jesus. You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot! Drop the pot! Drop the 19 shots fired. Shots fired!
On July 6, 2024, 36-year-old Sonya Massey, a beloved nurse and dedicated mother, called 911 for help, reporting a suspicious person near her home. What followed was a shocking and heartbreaking sequence of events that ended with Deputy Sean Grayson fatally shooting Sonya inside her own house. Welcome to Urban Crime Stories. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of future crime stories. Sonya Massey was known for her kindness and dedication to her community. Born on February 12, 1988, she lived in Springfield, Illinois, where she worked as a nurse at a local hospital. Her compassionate nature extended beyond her profession, as she was actively involved in her church. She had a passion for hairstyling and often spent her free time with her family. As a single mother, Sonya juggled her responsibilities at work while raising her young son and daughter. Despite her challenges, she remained resilient and optimistic, always striving to provide a better life for her children. But on the night of July 6, 2024, Sonya's life was tragically cut short. Sean Grayson, the deputy involved in the fatal incident, had a controversial career in law enforcement. Before joining the sheriff's office, Grayson served in the United States Army as a wheeled vehicle mechanic at Fort Riley, Kansas from May 2014 to February 2016. At 42 years old, he had been with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office for a relatively short time, following a turbulent employment history. Between August 11, 2020 and July 17, 2024, Grayson worked in 6 different police departments. His record included 2 misdemeanor DUI convictions, which raised questions about his suitability for a role in law enforcement. Grayson's colleagues had mixed opinions about him. Some viewed him as a strict officer who adhered to the rules, while others saw him as overly aggressive and prone to using excessive force. Despite these concerns, he continued to serve as a deputy until the events of July 6, 2024, that drastically changed his career and life. Grayson was an Army veteran, diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in the fall of 2023. His lawyer later mentioned this diagnosis as part of his defense, arguing that Grayson was not a threat to the community due to his medical condition and his cooperation with authorities following the incident. In the early hours of July 6, 2024, Sonya Massey felt a deep sense of unease. It was a quiet night in Springfield, Illinois, but she sensed something was amiss.
It sounds like somebody was banging on the side of my house. I don't know. Could y'all come and see?
Concerned for her safety and that of her family, she decided to call 911, reporting a possible intruder near her home. Her call was driven by the hope that the police would quickly address her concerns and restore her sense of security. Responding to the 911 call, Deputy Sean Grayson and another officer arrived at Sonya Massey's home shortly before 1 a.m. The 2 deputies conducted a thorough search of the vicinity, but found no immediate signs of suspicious activity. They then approached Massey's front door and knocked multiple times, waiting for her to respond. After a few minutes, Sonya opened the door with her cell phone in hand and engaged in a brief conversation with the deputies. They informed her that their search had not revealed anything unusual. Despite the lack of immediate danger, the deputies decided to enter her home to ensure everything was in order and to discuss the situation further. Once inside, the atmosphere remained tense but calm. The deputies asked Massey to provide her driver's license, which led to a brief discussion about a vehicle parked in her driveway that she claimed was not hers. Massey, visibly nervous, searched through a stack of papers and her purse, occasionally glancing at the officers. At one point, Massey asked Grayson to hand her a Bible, a request that seemed to calm her momentarily. However, the situation took a turn when Grayson noticed a pot of boiling water on the stove. He asked Massey to check on it, apparently to prevent a potential fire hazard. Massey complied, but her movements made the deputies uneasy. As she picked up the pot, she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," which prompted a sharp reaction from the officers. Deputy Grayson, feeling threatened by her words and actions, drew his gun and yelled, "Drop the fucking pot." Massey immediately apologized, saying, "Okay, I'm sorry," and crouched down behind the kitchen counter. Despite her attempt to de-escalate the situation, both deputies advanced towards her with their weapons drawn. In a matter of seconds, Grayson fired 3 shots, striking Massey in the head and killing her instantly. The body camera footage released later showed that Massey may have been holding the pot of water above her head just before the shots were fired. The immediate aftermath of the shooting was chaotic. The other deputy radioed for help, reporting that shots had been fired and that Massey had sustained a headshot wound. He began to leave to retrieve his medical kit, but Grayson stopped him, saying, "She's done." The police audio recording also included a report that Massey's wound was self-inflicted, a claim that added to the controversy and confusion surrounding the incident. Following the shooting, Sonya Massey was rushed to St. John's Hospital in Springfield. Despite the efforts of the medical staff, she succumbed to her injuries shortly after arriving. The Sangamon County coroner later ruled her death a homicide, a determination that would carry significant weight in the ensuing legal battles and public outcry. The killing of Sonya Massey prompted immediate and widespread outrage. Deputy Sean Grayson, who fired the fatal shots, was swiftly taken into custody. On July 17, 2024, Grayson was formally charged with first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. The charges reflected the serious nature of his actions and the perceived misuse of his authority as a law enforcement officer. Grayson pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense team argued that his actions were in response to a perceived threat, despite the body camera footage suggesting otherwise. Grayson was held without bond, a decision underscoring the severity of the charges. In the days following the incident, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that it would open a federal investigation into the shooting. This investigation aimed to determine whether Grayson's actions violated Massey's civil rights and to examine the broader practices and policies of the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. The involvement of federal authorities highlighted the national significance of the case and the urgent need for a thorough and impartial review. The killing of Sonya Massey sparked immediate protests in Springfield and beyond. Community members, civil rights activists, and local leaders came together to demand justice for Massey and accountability for Grayson. Vigils were held in her memory, and demonstrators called for systemic changes to prevent such tragedies in the future. Reverend Al Sharpton and attorney Ben Crump, both prominent figures in the fight for civil rights, took up Massey's cause. They highlighted the broader issues of police violence and racial injustice, using Massey's case as a rallying point for their calls for reform. Prominent political leaders, including President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, publicly condemned the murder. In a statement, President Biden called the incident a senseless act of violence that underscores the urgent need for police reform. Vice President Harris echoed these sentiments, emphasizing the need for systemic changes to ensure that law enforcement serves and protects all communities equally. The national attention on Massey's case brought renewed focus to the broader issues of police brutality and racial injustice. Advocacy groups and civil rights organizations rallied around Massey's family, using her story to amplify their calls for comprehensive reforms in policing practices across the United States. Local and national organizations issued statements advocating for systemic change. The Springfield chapter of the NAACP, along with other civil rights groups, called for an independent investigation into the shooting and the implementation of mandatory de-escalation training for police officers. These organizations highlighted the need for transparency and accountability in law enforcement to prevent similar tragedies in the future. As the protests continued, the Springfield City Council announced plans to review and potentially overhaul local policing policies. Proposals included the establishment of a civilian review board to oversee police conduct and increased funding for community-based programs aimed at reducing crime and promoting social equity. Sonya Massey's death has become a symbol of the broader struggle against police violence and racial injustice. Her story continues to inspire efforts to bring about meaningful change in the justice system. As legal proceedings against Sean Grayson continue, the fight for justice for Sonya and others affected by police violence remains steadfast. The hope is that her tragic death will not be in vain but will instead lead to a future where such senseless acts of violence are prevented and justice is truly served. What are your thoughts about this senseless act? How was Sean Grayson able to work for 6 different law enforcement departments within a 4-year period? Please share your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember, if you are new to the channel and like the content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will not miss any future crime stories. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, I will see you with another episode of Urban Crime Stories.